Hello everyone, welcome to Database Talk channel where I will be talking about databases and its related technologies. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to install EDB Advanced Server 12 on CentOS 8. These are the topics I'm going to discuss. What is EDB Advanced Server, pre-installation steps, installation, and post-installation steps. I will be demoing on these steps on how to install EDB Advanced Server with non-default options, because the default options are pretty straightforward. You can just follow some documentation, and there are quite a lot of documentations available on how to do very straightforward cluster installations and initialization. But when it comes to practical side of it, we may need to do some configuration changes, such as to change the data directory where you want to point your data into a different location, as well as you want to change the location of wall files. So stay tuned. What is EDB Advanced Server? If you go to enterprisedb.com, and you will see this page. So this is where they have all the products and tools advertised and what they develop, basically what EDB does. And if you go to products page, and you can see advanced database, advanced server. So advanced server is Postgres for the enterprise. So EDB Postgres Advanced Server gives you the best of both worlds, all the advantages of Postgres, enhance the mission critical features that help you maintain greater consistency across your Postgres deployments. So basically what they do is they take the Postgres open source version and they add more features, and also they have a lot of tools built around where you can use for various purposes. And it comes with a support. So it's not free, it's a licensing product. So once you get that product, so you will have, there are several plans available, so you can go and check it out here, the plans section. So my focus in this video is on how to install this advanced server. So I'm just directly going to downloads, so you can do the downloads right here. So before downloading any of their products, remember you need to have a login created and registered with EDB. And once you've done that, so you can get into this page and go to EDB Postgres Advanced Server section. And so here you can basically select all the steps, and as of this recording, the latest version available is 12. I know the version 13 is in development in Postgres open source version. So I'm interested on CentOS 8.0, so I'm going to access this repo. So right here you have the yum installation instructions. So where you need to select the platform, in this case CentOS 8, and the version Advanced Postgres Server 12. So here gives all the steps, not all the steps, but basic steps that is necessary to start the installation and some configuration. So but in order to do the non-default options, configuration options, you need to follow a few more additional steps where I will be showing those things so in the next couple of minutes. Let's go to the pre-installation steps. Here I already SSH to this CentOS box where I'm planning to install EDB Advanced Server. As a pre-installation step, you need to configure two mount points. One is for the data and one is for the wall. So I already created those two mount points. I believe you already know how to create a mount point and attach that to the CentOS. If not, I already have a video recorded for that. I will include a link in the description below. In fact, you actually can create these mount points even after the installation. But in this case, I already configured those mount points as when installing the CentOS, so that I would like to call this as a pre-installation steps, but it's up to you to decide. Even after the installation too, you can do this. So you can create a folder within the mount point in order to contain the data, actual data. So it is not a great idea to directly store data files in the mount point itself. Because of that, we need to create a subfolder. So I'm going to create a folder like this, and also for the wall files, I'm going to create a folder like this one. So after installing EDB Advanced Postgres Server, we need to set the proper permission into those two directories. So we can directly go into the installation right now. Let's move on to the installation now. For the installation, I'm going to follow these steps given in the EDB site. The first step is to install the repository configuration. I'm just going to copy this one and go to my terminal. Just going to log into the server. Let's paste this. Probably I need the sudo permission. And let's go to the next one. Next one is basically you need to copy your username, the EDB username, and the password that you created in order to log into EDB site, and then you have to execute this one. I already copy and pasted my username and password, so I'm just going to get that piece, go into the just did that. And the next one is the actual installation of EPL release package. That is completed. The next one is enable the Power Tools repository, since EPL packages may depend on packages from Power Tools. So I'm going to install that as well. That is done too. And then the server installation with this one. This will take a couple of seconds. So installation is completed now. So at this point, you have installed the EDB Postgres server fairly quick. You just spend a couple of minutes, and then so the next step would be to initialize the cluster. So this one, if you just if you just execute this one, it will do the installation by using the defaults values. So here we are not here this is not mentioning any custom values to point your data directory into a different location, and also wall directory into a different locations. So that is not shown here. So what I'm going to do is this initDB module basically has all the configuration options which you can use. Actually, you can go to a different site, Postgres, and go to initDB module. So this is the initDB module. With this one, you can actually pass different various configuration changes. So for example, if you want to change the data directory, so you can mention this pg data switch and the path to the data directory. So as well as the wall files, you can mention right here like this, wall dir, and the path to the wall directory. So that is what I'm going to do next. So before moving to the next step, so you probably can remember the data, the directory we created in the mount point, like this. This one basically has, we need to set the appropriate permission. So you can see here the directory is root, owned by user root and owned by a group root. So we have to change that right now. So we are going to do it, sudo ch on option, and enterprise DB is the actual user we need to give the rights, because enterprise DB is created as part of the EDB Advanced Server installation. So I'm going to give that user a permission, both use and group. So basically we have to go into that directory, like this, and then sudo ch on, that's it. So we can see the permission changes is applied now. So we have to do the same thing. So before going out from this directory, so remember when we create this mount point, it also create this lost and found directory automatically. So this is going to be a problem when setting up Postgres. So I'm going to remove this one because we don't need it anyway. Right, so now it's just empty and it has just the data directory. So let's go to now pg wall and apply the same thing. So let's remove that directory first, sudo removed, and then set the permission. So that is also set. So next step would be to initialize the cluster. So I'm going to go into my home directory, and then I'm going to logged in as root. And this is the command that I'm going to use. So this is the environment variable. So for the environment variable, you can pass all the switches and the values, custom values that you need to pass for the initdb module. So right here I'm passing two parameters. One is for the data directory, -d pg data / data, and -x is pg wall/wall. So that is the only two parameters I'm going to pass right now to initialize the cluster. So once the initialization is successful, you will see all the components related to Postgres in data folder, and the logs wall files related to the Postgres cluster in the wall directory. So we can just press enter here. Right. So database initialization is done, but it says there are some errors on it. Let's go and see the log file. So log files has all the information of the initialization process. So these are taking some default option like local, and the language set to English, and it is fixing some further permissions issues in this folder that we already created for the data and the wall files. So all the other things seems okay right here. So everything looks seems okay, but I don't know what really means by this message failed. So anyway, let's keep moving with the rest of the configurations. So I'm not going to start the Postgres like this. So I'll tell you why. So I'm going to follow different steps. Let's move on to that steps right now. Since the initialization is complete, so I'm going to go to the data directory and see what other files it has. Now you can see there are lots of components are being installed in this location. So especially this PG HBA configuration is really important to give when you are giving or when you are accessing Postgres from client machines. And also Postgres, the main configuration file, and this file is basically contains whatever the set Postgres configuration changes to this file. Without overriding this one, you can automatically through PSQL you can change some values, and it will be then stored in this file. So also you can check the wall location. So you can see there are some wall files available, but still Postgres server, to check the service, Postgres server service name is EDB Advanced Server -12.service, and you can see the service is not active yet, and it's loaded but not active, and the process is also disabled. So right now what we are going to do next is to start this Postgres server. So in case if you want to initialize again, let's say there are some failures you faced and you want to initialize from the beginning, this cluster, what you will have to do is you have to empty these two directory, this data as well as the world directory. If you just empty these two directories and just run the pg setup command, which I showed you earlier, this command, then it will initialize the cluster. But in case if you just run this command right now, it says the initializing database cannot create directory because it's not empty, right? So in case if some in accident, if this command ran again, it won't do any harm to your whatever the cluster that you already created. So if you want to keep this cluster as it is and you want to create a different cluster in the same machine, that is also possible. What you want to do is you just need to change your directory, the data location as well as the wall location to a different separate path, and then you can run this initialization process, so it will create a different cluster in the same machine. So that is also possible in the Postgres. Now let's move to the post installation steps. So as part of the Postgres installation, there's a file which already installed in this location, user, let's say lib, this file is already there. This is called unit file. This unit file contains all the information about the Postgres initial service startup. So you can see this data directory is mentioning here, but this is not the place that we are right now using the data directory because this is the default one, default location. But since this file is pointing to the default data directory location, so we don't want to start this service right now. If we start this service, it will check the data directory in this particular location. So we have to change that. But since it's the original unit file, so we are not going to change this unit file or modify this unit file manually, because it says here as a comment block, it is not recommended to modify this file in place because it will be overwritten during package upgrades. So if you want to customize the best ways to create a file in this location with the same name, and then use include keyword to get the use of this original unit file. So, and that is what I'm going to do right now. To copy the unit file, we have to mention the location of the original unit file. And the new location. So file is copied now. Let's say file is already there. So file is already there. So I'm going to change the file. So the data directory location, we have to change it. Location is pgdata/data, and also need to We'll include the original unit file here. This is the location for the original unit file. And save the file. To modify the file, let's do daemon reload. So you don't need sudo because you're already in sudo. Right, and then now it's time to start the service. So no errors shown. Let's see the status. Yep, Postgres is up and running right now. One more final steps you need to do here. That is, if you check the status again, you can see the service is active and it's running, but you also can see it is disabled. So meaning, if you reboot this server and once the server comes up again, you will not see the Postgres is running because it's disabled. So what we have to do is we have to enable this service so that it will reboot. So once the server is reboot, the Postgres service will automatically start. So that is what I'm going to do now. Enable. Yeah, that is enabled. And if you check the status again now, so you can see it is enabled. Next step is to log into that Postgres instance. So to the enterprise DB user and say PSQL. Right, enterprise DB does not exist, PSQL, Postgres. So we are in. So we install Postgres Advanced Server 12 and we did some changes to the default values. Basically the pointing data directory into a different location and also wall directory into a different location, and then we modified we copied the unit file and then changed the data directory in the unit the copied unit file, and then started the Postgres server successfully, and you are able to access the Postgres now. Hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.